my breast, and the green and white upon my chest. It's such a joy for us to see.
Good evening, welcome back to the channel. It is Terrace TV TikTok. I'm Toby, your host for tonight, and we've got a very important man in. Keith is joining us from Come On Hoops podcast. Keith, how we doing?
Not too bad. It's not too bad. A bit of time to just breathe, even though it's been a difficult couple of days. We're all on a bit of a downer, but you know what? We have to pick ourselves back up. It's not over until the fat lady sings in this title race.
That's it, mate. That's it. And this is a show where we'll relive under the nights of the lights at Celtic Park, league title celebrations, European event. There's moments that made us fall in love with Celtic, mate. And that's what it's all about. That's what we're all about. But whether we're growing up supporting like Jimmy Johnson was your idol, Henrik Larsson, Scott Brown, Paul McStay, it's your heroes. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that. We're talking about your journey. And we'll see what made you passionate about your Celtic fan. But before we start all that, mate, I'd like to just give a wee shout out to our sponsor, We Frames. If you're looking for any Celtic handcrafted wee jerseys, I'll show them. They will be up at the end of this show as well. But get yourself onto Facebook and look at it. It does so much. He's actually into music now, Michael, as well. He's doing Oasis and things like that, album covers, stuff like that. So thanks to Michael at We Frames. And that's it. We're moving right onto the show, mate. And I always say it's great being a Celtic fan talking to another Celtic fan, because there's nothing out there that people don't see it. I see a Celtic fan, probably like you, mate. See a guy with a Celtic tap on, instant. He's a good guy. He's one of us, and it's an affinity. You've got that right away. You've got the same feeling about each other, and everything about him is good until he proves me otherwise. You know what I mean? So that's it. But Keith, thank you very much for coming on, mate.
No
I just want to say about that. If anybody wants to follow Come On the Hoops, you'll get them on Facebook, Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Give them a wee like, a follow, a share, and a subscribe, guys. Get them following onto your socials. He does a great show, and listen, he speaks like me just for the heart, and he does. Sometimes he might rule it, but the heart always comes out as well. And he's a fellow Tim. That's the most important thing here. I start off with asking everybody, mate, how did you become a Celtic fan? How did it come about?
Very, very different to a lot of Celtic fans. You could say the term adopted. Like most Celtic fans are born into it. They have family members that, you know, give them their first hoops jersey when they're a baby and stuff. I was different. I wasn't big into football as a child. I started getting into football around the 2002 World Cup. And my dad has been to a couple of Celtic games, and he's been to a couple of Liverpool games. So I came from originally a Liverpool household, strange enough. And what happened was my uncle, when I was 16 years of age, met a lassie from COYBIG, from a place called Duntoker. So I was the first family member to meet her. Now, what happened was, before this, I used to buy Celtic jerseys. I didn't know how big the club was. Like in Ireland, obviously, there's a big Celtic following. I just used to wear it for fashion, to be honest with you. I thought the iconic green and white hoops was amazing. Obviously, the days of Larsson and stuff like that. But I remember the UEFA Cup final. I was actually quite sad for Celtic then, because I was like, what a team. This team is probably one of the best teams I've ever seen. So my uncle got me over to Celtic Park when I was 16. How it worked was, it was Christmas time, and he gives me this green shiny package in front of my grandma and my granddad and his new missus, and I opens up, and it's like there's a yellow Celtic training top in it, and he goes, look inside the top. So there's an envelope. Opens up the envelope, and it's last 16 tickets to the Champions League, AC Milan and Celtic. This was the year. This was the year that Neil Lennon was about to pack it in as a captain. Gordon Strachan obviously was the gaffer. We had players like Evander Snow, Shunsuke Nakamura, Artur Boric, Jan Vennegaard, Kenny Miller, of all players, was playing for us. Gravison. Yeah, we had a team. We had a core of players that actually fought for the shorts. Like even like Presley and Hartley. These boys really gave a dig for Celtic. So I went over to Celtic Park for the match, and we done the stadium tour that day, or the day of the game. And I remember waiting outside the reception, and then the team bus pulled up at 12 o'clock that day. And I got a picture with Artur Boric. Was the first player I ever met, was Artur Boric. And then Neil Lennon walked over to me and my uncle. And this was the old Celtic way where it was like, the old skill over on the right hand side.
Yeah.
And then you had the road, then you had a little bit of red brick in front of the kind of reception bit. And Lennon came over to my uncle and chatting away, and my uncle turned around and goes to Lenny, this is his first ever Celtic game. And then he laughed and goes, oh, you're in for one tonight. And then my uncle goes, oh, he doesn't have a clue what he's in for. And I start laughing. I goes, you're blowing this over the top. Come on, it can't be that big. So I was looking at all the players, so I tried to get a picture of McGeady. McGeady walked off. Gravison was an absolute snob. He was like, when I come out, I will sign it. I was like, look, forget. So funny enough, I got a picture of Alvander Snow of all people. And Nakamura, when we were doing the stadium tour, we walked in the reception. And I still, to this day, they have the sofa on the left-hand side where near that little statue bit. And Nakamura was sitting there with his translator. It was absolutely bonkers. I couldn't believe. My uncle was in a euphoria, like seeing all these players in the flesh, face to face. And then we went upstairs. No, we went into the trophy room first, seen a bit of the trophy room, bit different from the stadium tour they do these days. Went upstairs, we seen a band of snow, and then we got to the stage where we went out to where Billy Connolly's seat was. So my uncle was dying to show me where we were sitting that night. So we're sitting in the lower end Lisbon Lions, literally, I'd say about 2 seats up from the crossbar. And he's like, you don't have a clue what it's in for tonight. And I'm like, he's taking this over. Come on. So we got the supporters bus up from COYBIG, and it felt absolutely amazing, because when I growing up, obviously I had this whole English Premier League propaganda brainwashed at me, because everyone in my school was Man U, Liverpool, handful of Celtic, and then we got into Celtic Park, and I'm like, wow, this is something else. Like this has been the biggest stadium I've been in, Crow Park, the GAA. So I'm looking around, and You Never Walk Alone comes on. So the Milan fans are I'd say about maybe 13, 14 seats away when you're pushing that side, and You Never Walk Alone came on, and I swear to God, I broke down in tears after You Never Walk Alone. I just couldn't take it in, the scarce, and then there was a tifo. It was like green, white, and gold tifo all around on the Jock Stein stand, and I just started crying for about 20 minutes, not gonna lie. And my uncle turned around and goes like, welcome to Celtic Football Club. And after that, I just got strung into it. I remember my uncle buying me the away jersey in the club store, trackies, and then I went to we want to call it an Old Firm. Unfortunately, we lost my first ever Old Firm 1-0. Egliog scored that day against us, but we went on to win the title thanks to Shinsuke Nakamura at Kilmarnock. That free kick,
yep.
remember it quite well. And the next season was just the best season I've ever felt in the Celtic shirt. Honestly, watching it as a Celtic fan, obviously that was the 40-year Lisbon Lions jersey, and the Carlin on it. I got a long sleeve. Funny enough, I got Larson on the back of it for some reason. I just wanted Larson on the back of it. So that season, the way the title run in, obviously Rangers Sefco were in the UEFA Cup, pushing the UEFA Cup. They were pushing in all cylinders, and then obviously we got players in like Samaras on loan, McDonald and Vennegoor were unbelievable up front. We had proper fighters, and I don't think any Celtic fan at one point, maybe the 3-0 game when we lost at Ibrox, the New Year one, I think that was the only one where we felt like we weren't going to win the title. But I just had that belief. I just felt like, we had players. We had McGeady, we had Nakamura, we had players that could construct something in the wings, and we had players that fought. Like McDonald was just, but I know McDonald wasn't really the fans' favourite when he walked in because of what happened with Helicopter Sunday. But my God, Skippy was absolutely class for Celtic, and Vennegoor was, to get him from PSV at that fee and the way he played for us, like he could have went to any Champions League team. He was playing in a team that got to the Champions League semi-final the previous season. It was absolutely mental. And when we won the league up at Tannadice, even though it wasn't at it, it just felt something special. I just felt like I was fully invested in it. And when I got completely when I got completely invested into Celtic was about 2011, fully into it, was I set up a page on Facebook called Come On The Hoop Celtic. I thought it was like a kind of my way to show me auntie and uncle, I'm taking this Celtic support thing to another level. I wear the jerseys, fair enough, but I want to feel it. And I just felt like when I was coming off to Glasgow in my mid-teens, I felt like Scottish people could get the Irish people were very similar. And I was like, one day I said to myself, I'm gonna move over here. I'm gonna move over here one day. One day I want to marry a Scottish woman who's a Celtic fan. That's the dream. And I just got so absorbed in making this page. It was just posts and then videos. And then I started doing Instagram in 2016. By 2018, I was up to nearly 40,000 followers. And that was a good thing because that was the input, Toby, of me starting the live stream. So Instagram was one of the first social media apps where you could live stream. So I used to go live on a Friday night. I'd have my jerseys behind me, like what you have in your podcast. I would have a flag. I'd just sit there and just have a can and talk Celtic for about 2 hours, interact with my followers, and then I got my first ever proper interaction with a former Celtic player. It was Jackie McNamara. So Jackie was following me for a while, and he let me down a couple of times because he got busy with, obviously Jackie's obviously an agent and he had other stuff going on. He was he done a live stream with me on Instagram, and we had a great chat. It's on my YouTube channel. We had a great chat for almost 2 hours. He was telling me about obviously going to play in the World Cup for Scotland. I asked him this just a simple question. I was like, what was more nerve-wracking for you, Jackie? Playing your first World Cup game for Scotland or playing in Seville? And he said Seville all day. The pressure of having 90,000 fans in that city, Celtic getting to European final since the 70s, it was massive. It was absolutely massive. Once they got that full whistle at Boa Vista, they knew that was going to be tin and bricks playing against a good Portuguese side like Porto. Yeah. So yeah,
see, your upbringing there, obviously, like it's you've been through right in it. You've came at a point when Celtic are really doing really well, get really good players. Last 16 of the Champions League game, I was quite fortunate to go to the return leg earlier. Kaka scored, obviously, put us up. But aye. But you said there, you mentioned players there that people always talk, like you said, obviously you got Larsson. It's a generation thing. People always talk about Henrik Larsson, Jimmy Johnson, Scott McDonald. You said there as well. Was a good player for us, but didn't really get the recognition because he went to Tatum previously before he came. Big Samaras was a player I know who was, you knew if Samaras was going to be on his game after 10, 15 minutes, or he was going to be just, I wouldn't say shite, but it wasn't at the races, you know what I mean? But you've come in at a period there when you can tell it's gripped you, you know what I mean? It's got you. And I always say that to people, know, what was your first impressions, right? You walk out and you see that ground, you just said it yourself, you was like, oh my God, this is the biggest ground I've been to since Croke Park and the GAA, and that is massive where you're from, know what I mean?
100%. It's just looking at the infrastructure, it's unbelievable. 100%. And that's before the disco lights, and that's before the big shout of the Champions League night. It was just like, I went to a derby that 07-08 season when we won 3-2 against Rangers. McDonald scored 2 and Robson right down the middle. And you could just feel it, like, you just knew after that post split that we had a really good chance. And yeah, like, I didn't have a particular favourite back in the first or 2 seasons. Obviously, I was pretty happy that McGeady jumped on the Irish the Irish train, declare for Ireland, and even all the Ireland matches I used to go to, I'd be screaming Aidan McGeady. I'd be like, oh, he's one of our own and all this. But it's just, I felt like yesterday when I first went to my first ever game, and it's just. But it probably, as I always say this, it was probably one of the best nights of my life. Bar my children being born and meeting the girl I'm with now, I'd say Celtic Football Club, my introduction to Celtic Football Club on the biggest stage in club football. I can't explain how much I felt. It gives me the goosebumps talking about it at times.
Mate, see that does. I remember it was Nakamura scored against Manchester United, and see when I watch that back, it takes me right back to sitting there in the off stand and with my mate Ryan and watching it again, and the two he's just gone absolute mental when that free kick was in, because there's points in your life where you'll always remember where you were, what you were doing, but through football and through following Celtic, there's thousands upon thousands of minutes and moments in your head where you just get transported right back to that period of time. Like you said, Nakamura scored that game against Kelly, the free kick, and things like that will live you forever. You know what I mean? It's never going to leave you, and people don't understand it unless you've lived it the way we're living it. You can try and explain it, but it doesn't do it justice, Keith. It does not do it justice how you try to explain to somebody unless they've been there.
100%. Even like when you go back and watch all of our games from back in the past, like a full 90 minutes, you still get that like, oh, what are we going to score? Even though you know what the score is, it still feels nerve-wracking. Like that 2-1 game when Jan Madagor Hesseling scored last minute for us, that still is one of the most nerve-wracking games I've ever watched of football, regards to Celtic. But no, I got dumped into it when it was all, green, successful. Like I've seen a couple of disappointing seasons with Celtic as well, going into obviously the early 10s and stuff like that before Lenny came in on a permanent deal. But no, it's a special feeling, and it's like trying to tell. Like I brought my friends over from Dublin that have Man U fans, and I brought them to Celtic Park, and even they say, wow, they just straight away they buy into it. They just fall into it. It's not even a case where this is a product. This is Celtic Football Club. You're not going to get that with Manchester United. You're not going to get that with Liverpool. You're not going to get that. Celtic Football Club is not a tourist tool like you watch in the Premier League. Celtic Football Club, you're going to have people jumping up out of their seat and they're going to get passionate. They may say some weird things, but they're passionate as hell. And it just feels like with Celtic Football Club, it's a family club. It's because of the roots, what was set up. That's never going to die. It's never going to die within the fan base.
That is it, mate, and it's continuously passed down from generation to generation. And obviously, with the podcast, that right, I'm very, very fortunate. I tell people this all the time. I live literally. I can leave my house at 20 to 3 and be in my seat for 5 to 3. You know what I mean? Like walking it, just a nice easy walk up the road, and I love it. Absolutely love it. And away games, I go to most away games. In fact, I go to all away games. Even when it was a 500 at Ibrox, I was very, very fortunate to get tickets for them every time. I loved it. But people always say, "Oh, you should do more content for the podcast or your channel." And I'm there watching the game. I try and bring the phone out, but I forget because I'm that engrossed in the football.
You're taking it in, exactly.
Aye, I'm not there to video. And see, when I go to a concert, I don't go to a concert, video concert. I take it in and it'll live me forever. I watch somebody else's video later on, watch it back or whatever. But at that moment in time, you're caught in the moment in time. Celtic isn't a tourist club. It is, as you say, it's in with the blood. It's ingrained in you through the family. The club picks you. You don't pick the club. You know what I mean? It's mental.
Exactly. And like I look at it now, I'm like, wow, yeah, like one day with the girl I'm with now, maybe I will have children, and then it's going to be he or she's going to be a Celtic fan, and my missus comes from the east end of Glasgow, like yourself, just up the roads, and it's just, I know how much it means to her. Like I've sat there with her, and I remember our first ever derby, and we're in a pub in Glasgow, and she's like, if we draw this game, this was the Kyogo 2-2 match at Ibrox. You were probably at it anyway, and she was like, if we lose this game, I'm going home. I'm not going to buy my phone off. I was like, calm down. We're out to celebrate it. Like it's a mad thing. Like a derby day feels like a St. Patrick's Day to folk. People don't get how much people get so picked up for it for weeks and for months. It's just absolutely mental. I absolutely love it, man. And I remember 2016 was one of the biggest pinches in the teeth when obviously we lost that penalty shootout to them. Obviously Rogic missed that penalty. Obviously he looks like he looked like a big chunk of the ground, and then thank God Hibs done us a favour in the final. But that I remember that game so well that I actually took a week off work sick because I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated, more than ever. I just thought, we were a pretty average Celtic team, but I thought we had it in the locker to go and actually beat them in full time instead of going into extra time with them.
it's so hard to explain. Like, obviously, your missus is saying there that I'm getting home. I've done it an army. I don't let it ruin my day or my weekend, but I'm going to get home now because I don't feel like sitting there. I don't feel like going for a beer, or it's draining. It's not a disappointment. It just drains you to the fact that you can't. Sometimes you get that way. You can't settle down. You're uptight, and I'm not saying it's disappointment in a way, but it's a big down. Now you were so high.
It's a bit.
And then
it feels like a numbness kicking in, doesn't it? It just feels like you're getting this antibiotic or getting an injection into the arm, and you just feel that numbness after the game. Like even some parts this season, and I'm like to myself, am I surprised? Is this what I've been setting myself up for? And it's sad to say, like you don't want to be going into a game dreading your team losing, because on paper we look like we're the better team, but it's having the belief. And sadly, as you go to the most of the away games, I've said this vocally, I've only been to 3 games this season, 2 at Celtic Park and then the cup final against St. Mirren, and you could just feel it in the stands that we're just not the same Celtic this season that we were in previous seasons. I've touched on this a couple of times on my podcast, but I definitely think we haven't recovered from Ange. That's the God honest truth.
And we've also had 4 windies now, 3 windies now to replace a striker, and we've not done it, and that's the sad reality. I know people say we've got any actual, we've got big Tam now, but there's still no, for me, went out and really done what we should have done as a club. But we'll come on to that later on, mate. Just to go back into when you're watching Celtic and you're going through that period, like between your first game and now, who would you say is the best player you've seen, or who's your favourite player for that period of time?
Oh, I'd say Scott Brown, because he's been the leader, he's been the man, the man in the trenches, he's been the man that's gone out there and said the vital words, and good professional athlete. At one point he looked like he was done and sold out, kind of like the criticism Callum McGregor's getting right now. I think Bruni all day. I just think the moments he's brought, the wind-up merchant, being up there to lift up 1, 2, 3, 4 trebles, and being a part of, like, obviously walking alongside Lennon, walking alongside even Tony Mowbray, of all people, controversial. But I think Mowbray was the one that gave him the captaincy at the point.
Right.
Walking with Gordon Strachan, obviously walking with Ronnie, walking with Brendan. I'd say Scott Brown has been my favourite player. Favourite forwards of all the years I've been watching Celtic. I would, I would probably say Gary Hooper. Gary Hooper. I loved Dembele, I loved Kyogo, but I think Gary Hooper just brought a special feeling. When that goal was going in the back of the net, just can't get enough was going on, and him and his long sleeve and his 88. He just came from literally nothing, to coming from Scunthorpe up to us, and he became a fan's favourite quick enough. Obviously, that last minute goal at Tannadice.
I think he should have stayed a wee bit longer. I think he should have made sure he was staying on. And I know he tried to go and chase a cap and things like that, and that's what happens with players and coming from down south. But I think now, looking back, Gary Hooper realises himself that he had something special up here. He was adored with the fans. Like you, I loved it when he scored. You seen it in his face, and 88 and all that. That was just, it's clutching at the heartstrings when he's got 88 in the back. And 88 is I'm a centenary man. I love the centenary stuff.
Yeah.
Everything about it, always go back to it. But I liked him. I always say, I wouldn't say he was underrated, but Lee Griffiths for me was one of our top strikers as well. But it was everything else for him, know what I mean? It was, and that's it. And there's not many players do that, know what I mean? But it just is the other side of him as well, know what I mean? Some silly things in that. But listen, Gary Hooper's a great shout. And Scott Brown as well, because as you said, wasn't 1, wasn't 2, wasn't 3, it was 4 trebles, captain, and always consistently early years, and people had knocked him and put him down, and then when he retired for the international setup, they were like, oh, that's him coming to the end of it, and he went, no, I'm doing this for my club, I'm prolonging my club career to help my club out, and I loved that. And I've actually went to a couple of United games where I've been playing, because my mate George is a kit man down there. George used to be my old boss, So I've been down and he's like, do you want to speak to Bruno? I was like, I can't, mate. I don't know I wouldn't know what to say to him because it's your idol, you know what I mean? I've been fortunate enough to be in rooms and play golf with some football players, and then again you're like, oh, I don't know what to say, and that's just one of the things. But I mental some players like that. So looking back and all, even all Celtic players or players you didn't see, because there's some players out there I love to see that I didn't see. I've only seen in television. If there was one Celtic player in his prime that you did see or you didn't see to bring back right now to get us the other line, who would that be? Who would you bring back? I probably you would say Bruni, but who would it be?
No, I would say Paul McStay, because I think Paul McStay had a locker of taking it. You look at that performance on Love Street in 1986. He had everything in his locker. The maestro. I'd say Paul McStay because he was a Celtic true and true. I know McGregor Celtic true and true, but it's hard to think, right? Would that player from the 80s and mid 90s suit today's football? Because it's all about being athletic now. I would say Paul McStay or Scott Brown, because you need a leader. You need a proper leader. Or even Paul Lambert. Paul Lambert could have done a job as well, getting that team up for it.
I think a lot of people wonder, see when Lambert and Lennon were playing, always remember that I was going to the games, and then I was listening to a Celtic podcast on a Friday night called Celtic Dreams, and Big G was always critical. He's saying, like, Lambert, what does Lambert really do? What are they actually doing? I'm like, you're only seeing the television. You're not seeing what they're doing off the ball and how they're shutting the play down, or they're killing the space, or they're moving into space, or they're creating space. And he's like, we don't see that. I said, no, we don't see that. We're very fortunate to see it in the ground, but we don't see it in TV because TV doesn't pick up off the ball incident or off the ball play. So Paul Lambert was massive for Celtic when he came, absolutely massive, because he came for one European Cup with Borussia Dortmund, and he was playing at a level where he was bringing people up to his level. He was getting people through games, talking through games.
He really was.
Talking players through their game. And if we had that in that team today, somebody to guide them and mentor them and talking through, because it's hard with just one guy doing it. But if we had another couple of players like that, as you say,
didn't he turn down Juventus to come to Celtic? Didn't he, for Williamson?
Well, that's it. Yep. So that was the big rumour at the time, that he was offered a lucrative deal with an Italian club, but no, he wanted to come and play back in Scotland, and the only team he was going to come back was Celtic. So absolutely fantastic. I remember listening to him one time, and he said that he was speaking to his dad, and he was saying, I'm going to play in front of the jungle, and they're going to shout my name. And his dad went, aye, no problem, son. And like that. Didn't believe in him. And then, obviously, years later, he gets to play at Celtic Park, the whole crowd's just absolutely fantastic. And his goal against the Mob and all in the top corner is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I can still see it, and right into the temporary stone and all and everything. So, brilliant.
Exactly. And I know Martin Tyler's commentary for that was up there, is as good as Aguero. It's up there, big time.
Aye.
Big time.
That's it, brilliant.
Class. But no, it's a hard one, because like people are saying you could even put Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp in. Could he turn this title race around? I don't think we're fully gone yet. I still have that little bit of hope. I have that little bit of hope.
As old adages, yes, and it says faithful through and through, and that's what we are, and that's what we'll always be. And even as I was saying, my missus was booking a holiday. I was in then she went, "Oh, there's no game." I went, "No, there's a cup final." She went, "But you're not in a cup final." I went, "Aye, we're not in it yet. We're still to play the other mob across the city." And she went, "So I went, no, book it." I said, "Look, you can book it for the 25th for me. You can't book it for the 23rd." So that's simply what happened there. You know what I mean? So and always ask that to people. Does your life sort of revolve around Celtic? Do you try to plan things out with Celtic?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us?
Like, I'm that type of person, Toby, right? See if Celtic are playing on that day, and I'm going into work. I work in a uniform environment, right? And I always wear my Celtic jersey under my polo top. Like, I'm so superstitious. If I was to watch a game and just say my wedding was on the same day as Celtic, I'd wear my Celtic jersey under like Superman. I'm that passionate about Celtic. Like, I feel like it's a sin. I do give me Mrs. Abuse of it. I'm like, why are you not wearing your jersey tonight? Why are you not wearing your jersey? You call yourself an East End proper team? Come on. What are you doing? Like, I organised my life completely around Celtic. And I got to the stage where I was getting so addicted to Celtic, I actually moved to Scotland because I wanted to be close to the paradise. That's the honest truth.
You usually deal that, obviously, like, just when you were saying there, you got your work or was something happening, right? You say, my cousin got married, Celtic were playing Hibs, and about 80% of the people at that wedding had season books, and every single one of us were raging. And we played Hibs that day, right? And Scott Brown was the manager of Fleetwood at the time. Fleetwood Town at the time, and somebody got a message to Connor and Hera for Scott Brown, and it came up, and he's like, guys, absolutely fantastic. I wish you all the best, but why are you getting married today of all days? Celtic are playing Hibs, my two teams, and all the people at your wedding are all go to the game and support Celtic. Now, there's going to be a big contingent there. He went, and I know a few of them will just be sitting right now with their phones out watching the game. He says, so that's all on you. And everybody's like, oh, watch the screen, watching their phones. But I just, madness. I've seen people move weddings because of the
That's a great example, Toby, because one of my good friends, he met a lassie through me. Now she moved over from Rutherglen to Dublin, and he's getting married actually on the cup final day. So I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna have to wear my green suit. I got a green suit. I did a little girl confirmation today, so I got myself a nice light green suit. I'll be wearing that for the cup final with my jersey under it, or I might just wear my jersey and just a suit. Fucking why not?
Why not?
Why not? So now I organise my life completely around Celtic. Like I feel absolutely. I'd feel guilty if I got to miss out on a game. Even see when it's like pre-season games and like we're playing someone like he'd be wearing the Algarve. Like I try my best to get a stream and watch it because I just feel like you have to be a part of it. You have to see it. And a fair play to everyone that goes beyond miles upon miles to watch the team play. It's unbelievable dedication. Like there's a guy here now from the pub over in the East End of Glasgow, and he booked South Korea because I think Celtic were meant to play Wolves in South Korea a couple of years back. And he still went to South Korea, even though the fixture was cancelled. Still went over because he was like, you know what? I'm going over. Shout out to Big Joe. Big Joe.
Right. It is mad how we've got fans like that. And as you say, I actually take my hat off to the guys that follow us everywhere. I mean, I know a couple of boys that go to every single game without fail, hail, rain, sleet or snow, whatever it would be. They'll maybe get 2 planes and a train. Know what I mean, and in a bus, and you're like, why? And it's because that's their life, that's their passion. They don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't go out the week. Other than football, that is their ultimate passion. So I get it, I actually love it, and I love the fact that we've got fans like that, and we're crazy that way, but no crazy in a bad way. It's just crazy about football.
Where do you get it in football where your team is in the Europa League and you're out of Europa, you're basically out of Europa League, and you still bring 4,000, 5,000 fans over to have a session? Like you don't get that with many football teams in the world.
No, you don't, and that's how I know people always say we're the best fans in the world, but I think every team says their fans are the best fans in the world. But I do genuinely believe that we've got some really wonderful guys and women out there who
we've got the awards.
Yep,
Who wins the FIFA Fair Play Award? 2003 for Seville. Like we have it in the trophy room there just to prove how much we were the best fans in the world. I've always remember that poster. I had it in my room for years. I love that poster of Seville where the fans are in the stadium all with the scarves. It's just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
I'll tell you, Seville that day for me. So we flew out in the morning, early doors, me and my uncle, my 2 uncles, my cousin's husband. And I was meeting my mate Ian out there. Now Ian I'd went to Benidorm when I was younger with Ian. We were going to go and work there, we were going to do this and all that. And I was during the closed season, it was all right. But as soon as the season was starting, I went, I'm going home. I had to get home. He stayed there right up to two years after Seville, so 2006 or something, 2007 he came home. But I was meeting him in Seville, and he's like, the only thing I'm asking you is to bring 2 bottles of bucky. 2 bottles of bucky. I'm like, no bother. So gone through the airport, all I've got is a rucksack, a flag, a scarf, and 3 bottles of wine in the rucksack, and that's it. Know what I mean? And
where did you sleep that night?
Everybody's just laughing at you. And we actually flew in and flew back, mate. It was in and out in the same day. Mental.
Madness.
Know what I mean? Flew in early doors. Was about 5 o'clock flight in the morning. Got earlier, so we did met Ian up. Went and met him. Went to the square with everybody. Went down to the big part where they were showing the reruns or whatever. Everybody was going there. Then headed up to the stadium for the game. Sitting in a roundabout, just maybe about 200-300 metres for the overpass, and there was about 600 people on this roundabout, and the road had just been complete standstill. But that was my memory of Seville. And people always say, would you change it? And I was like, no, really, no. The result, but see that actual period of time, I'd left school in 95, so I hadn't met any of my mates or whatever, and I met a lot of my pals from school all earlier who were doing the exact same as me, in and out the one day. People were getting planes to, I don't know, they were going to Benidorm and then driving through, they were going to Terrace and Portugal and coming down, and it was just everything. Everybody, I booked it through Cambuslang Travel, and I was in Cambuslang Main Street, got up to book it. It was £320. I'll never forget it. And by the time I got from where I was to the door, it was $5.90. And the guy's like, what? Many seats? I said, aye, that's 4, mate. 4 seats. He's like, name bother, names, addresses, date of births. Send him all the detail.
So did you get the ticket for the game through the club directly? Because obviously you have your season ticket and stuff.
No, it was through the guy who used to come to your door doing stuff. You know what I mean? So it was, how would you describe him? So it's like checks. You used to get shopper checks.
Yeah.
So it was like a guy coming, you get short check for Christmas or Provident check. So it was a guy who done that.
Yeah.
And he managed to get tickets. Other than that, a boy on the plane, one of the guys on the plane got a ticket as well. After another boy on the plane for Shettleston, he had a spare. His mate wasn't going, and it was told, don't sell it for any more or any less than what it's worth. You know what I mean? So he was just selling it for the price of the ticket. And that's what it's about. And I still believe that. I know when I get tickets, if a maybe extra ticket comes up and somebody's looking for a ticket, people say, much is it? 50, 60? I'm like, oh, it's £36, mate. That's how much a ticket is. I do believe you don't charge Celtic fans, or you don't charge another fan anything over the odds for a ticket. And I know there is touts out there that do it and hang about Celtic Park, but absolute mental, man, mental. They were saying they were talking about Seville. I love the Seville strip. See the NTL one. And that was, so obviously they played with NTL on it. Know what I mean? And seeing Larson and all, I can see it now. But I love the yellow NTL digital for that season as well.
That's me. Well, that's funny enough. That's my first ever Celtic strip. It's crazy enough. If you give me 2 seconds, I'll actually show you. I want to show you something with this strip. This is iconic. I want to show you this. 2 seconds. So this is my first ever Celtic strip. What happened was, there was a sports store in Dublin, and then obviously that new Hoops jersey came up with the button, the Carlo one for the final. Yeah, so my mum said to me, "Oh, they're selling that jersey for €20. Do you want a Celtic top?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll get me a Celtic top." So I wore it for the final. This jersey is probably the most emotional jersey I own. I have John Harton signed it for me. Stilian Petrov signed it twice for me because I met him a couple of occasions. And then I have Chris Sutton. I've done a night with Chris Sutton. And who else do I have signed with it? So if I have Chris Sutton, John Harton, Stilian Petrov, Jackie McNamara. So the 4 boys, obviously John didn't play in the final, but yeah, amazing. I done a night with Chris Sutton and Paisley a couple of years ago. It was an MC night. It was unbelievable. It was like 150 people at it. It was in the Abbey Inn. And then I was at a night at Axon Dun in Greenock where there was Stinian Petrov, Jackie McNamara and John Hartson. Unbelievable. But that jersey is amazing. Obviously, it means you probably were at Stuttgart. You were probably at Ewood Park. You were probably at Paul East.
Listen, Liverpool for me was outstanding, I know, because Big Hartson obviously had missed a penalty the week before. Alan Thompson scored the ball under the wall, and then Big Hartson scored, and he's running about shouting, "How's that? How's that?" I was just ecstatic. Ewood Park was brilliant and all. Souness was coming out shouting men against boys up here and all that, and then Larson goes on the telly and has his wee moment with Sutton, and it's brilliant. Sutton getting back here and all that's another thing as well. Getting back to the club he won the Premiership with, and it's just things like that are amazing, mate. I mean, I love that tap you've got
Some
there.
of the goals were just like that header at Ewood Park. Even the lob from Larson at Ewood Park was something else.
Celtic Vigo away as well, John, with John Hartson. Celtic Vigo as well. That the players slip, the ball gets through, and then we're through and we're in. And that false season was just, it was, people always say that things that I was written in the stars and all that. Every team we played had a V, apart from Porto. Every team we played had a V. And VFB Stuttgart, know what I mean, like that. That's what they were saying.
And you just to show that. It's just to show, even with Porto going on to win the Champions League the following season against Monaco, they were a good side, but I thought overall on that night Celtic were a better team. The way they got back into the game with 2 headers, obviously with Bobo getting sent off was a kick in the teeth, but like you could have been so proud of the way they played. Even that season, even though they didn't come out with trophies that season, the way they played, some people were putting up as a comparison of the season that Tommy Burns had with Celtic. That kind of similar to that season, the way they played football.
It was brilliant. Loved it, mate. So that brings on to nicely talking about kits. Behind us, obviously, I've got some topes up there. What I always ask is, home kit doesn't really change. It's always green and white. That's it.
I have a favourite home kit.
That's what I'm going to ask. What's your favourite one?
I would have to say my favourite home kit would have to be the 2017-18 New Balance with the gold, the round neck, the 50 year Lisbon anniversary. I thought it was just smart. I would say a jersey that we never wore would be the 120 year anniversary hoops one as well. I thought that was iconic. The Adidas one that they brought a couple of years ago with the white star. It's a shame. I mean, it's a shame we never wore that, to be honest with you, because that would have been amazing. Another one that sticks out for me is the tin hoops that we wore in the 12 and 13 season, the one that we beat Barcelona in, obviously winning the double that season. Oh, I have that in a long sleeve. It's just Nike football brought some great kits out for us.
Aye.
I'm not going to say centenary. I'm not going to, even though the centenary is probably one of the best football jerseys I've ever seen. The diamonds inside of it and all.
I've still got my original one, but unlike you, I can't pull it out and say, look, because it's enthused. But mine's is like that compared to now. You know what I mean? As a wee guy, I was 12-year-old in 1988, so you can imagine the difference in size between then and now. But I always ask people, no, I don't say we hate strips, but is there any strips here that you didn't really like, or you thought, oh my God, although it's a Celtic strip, it grown you? I mean, a lot of people say like the yellow one is a bit like Norwich, and it grows in you, and I believe that. A strip will grow in you eventually.
Do you know what? I think the 1991 Ford People's one, the green with the mint in it, I think that one with the zigzag mountain, and I think that's an iconic one. I love that one. There's one kit that can never ever, we never wore it, was the dark grey New Balance with the pink. Thank God we never wore that one. That was when we, obviously, the 19 season, but no, that Ford People's one, I think that's a belter of a jersey. Like the whole kit, even the shorts and the socks. I know we wore that. I think we wore that against Airdrie and against St. Mirren.
Aye, that's a good. I always say no. See, looking back then at the time it came out, people were a wee bit sceptical, but see them out. You look at it now, you're going, that's actually a good kit, a good strip. We used to have another one, Big Pierre Van Hooydonk, that McStay had it. It was like yellow and green flashes coming in. It was just people called it the Silk cut. We had that.
Oh yeah, I had that one myself.
But I liked it.
Yeah, with the green sleeve and the gold sleeve and the other. Oh yeah, Delta. I love football.
I don't dislike. I'd say it's not my favourite, but I wouldn't go as far as saying I hated a Celtic strip or I hated a Celtic kit. It's just no for me. Know what I mean? Talk about big moments as well. That European nights, you're not going to get any bigger than the one it basically brought you into it. Know what I mean? With that night. But have you got a favourite? If you could relive one match, would it be that match? If you could relive one of the matches you've been to, what match would it be?
It actually wouldn't be. It would be a game we played Barcelona in 2008. We were actually 2-1 up at half time. Yeah, and Barry Robson and Jan Vennegaard scored for us that night. We ended up beating 3-2. Unfortunately, this was the second season of Lionel Messi on the world stage. But I remember Henry scored against us, rolled me eyes, talking about him of all weeks of World Cup playoffs. I would have loved to see us getting a result against Barcelona that night. That would have been the icing on the cake because that team was unbelievable. They had Ronaldinho, Deco, Henry.
Masters of football, absolutely.
Marcus, Victor Valdez. Victor Valdez got abused for years being a brutal keeper. He was a part of a successful team. And, I think Frank Rijkaard was the manager at the time as well.
Yep.
So that Barca team were unbelievable. I think that game would be up there as one of my favourites. Like if you go back to that Milan game, that Nil game, we didn't really have many chances that night. It was a real defensive performance.
That's the thing that we need to be effective when we were on the ball, and that night showed that what chances we got, we took them, and that is ultimately the difference between winning and losing. And that's where we are at this moment in time. We're not taking enough chances and things like that. But that Barcelona game,
see that Milan game. It was Arthur Burridge's birthday that day, and he pulled off 3 cracking saves. I remember against Milan, the 2 1-on-1 shots as well. Oh, what a keeper! He was my favourite keeper ever for Celtic.
I would say Boric has been the best keeper I've seen at Celtic Park for Celtic.
Had all the
country mile, man. Aye, and his attitude and everything about it, he commanded the box and he just loved it. He got it. He knew what Celtic was all about, and he had that arrogance as well, but an arrogance in a way where he was confident in his own ability, his own technique, and he didn't care who he was coming up against. He would bet on himself, you know what I mean? And penalties and all, some big penalty saves. I mean, he saved the one against Man United. Saha, absolutely fantastic, you know what I mean? So I loved Boric as well, mate. I would say that, Keith, he was outstanding for me.
I hate when people say Fraser Foster or Arthur Burridge. I always say Arthur Burridge all day. Like as you say, you go back to that performance in the San Siro. He brought us at extra time. The saves he pulled off against Kaka that night. Oh my God, out of this world. I wish we got longer out of Burridge. I know obviously Fraser came in to replace him and he was on loan from Norwich, and then Newcastle he came in from. But Arthur Burridge, he you can't compare. I know people are buying into the whole Julian Araujo guy and all that, but Burridge is like 10 times the character.
Aye.
And then Araujo.
And he came at a period of time and all where it meant something as well. You know what I mean? It was people were like, we need somebody to come in here, and he got the fans going. And I know, and this is what annoys me. I know, like David Tanner said the other week about Celtic fans bless themselves, but Boric bless yourself. Players will bless themselves all over the country. It's not a crime to be faithful to your faith, and if that's what it takes. But he used to get so much stick for it. You know what I mean? That a guy was, and we see players do it all the time. They score, they pray, they do the kiss, the flare, they bless themselves. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't believe there's anything wrong with it, and people should get
Mo Salah does the preach. Yep. You know, at the end of the day,
there are players like, what do you call them, Hatate and things like that. Kaya, different players, different times for Celtic. But even if you watch that, when Hatate leaves the field, I love it. He walks right to where he goes. He goes off. He turns around and he bows to the field as if he just left a place of worship. And you're like, that is amazing. It's respecting the game, respecting his workplace, and that's it. But it's nuts. And he's standing like. Dane, I don't know what he actually does, but he just stands with one arm and one leg aft before it and looking up. And I'm like, he's obviously praying some sort of, or saying something prior to the game's kicking off.
Well, the famous term, a lot of footballers do it, and I don't know if you've ever heard of it, it's called grounding. So see the likes of Haaland and stuff. So what they tend to do is when they meditate, they'll go out to just an open space and they'll just put their feet in the ground for hours. And they claim that you get like this kind of shock from the ground. that builds up your confidence. It's like a way of meditating. So I remember seeing pictures of the likes of Maeda and Atate in their early days at Celtic, grounded on the Celtic Park pitch, grounded at Lennoxtown, because it's that way that they believe. If they think that they're going to stimulate and they believe in a vision, it will happen.
Great stuff.
They've been successful for Celtic, and it's a shame that we're coming into our final days with Dazen and Atate, because at one point Atate was untouchable. He was he was hot property. Like, there was talks of 25, 30 million player there. You've seen his performance against Real Madrid, the way he pinged that ball across the field. I was like, you don't get that against Real Madrid, against Luka Modric and players like that. But same with Maeda. Maeda has been an absolute cult hero in recent times. The goals
that was it. We were on fire. Maeda. We won 7, 8, 9, 10 games, whatever it might have been, and Maeda was absolutely on fire. And just unfortunate that he's not in that position now. And people will say, put it down to, he didn't get his move or this and that, but he's still playing football. He's still trying. You can see it. And when he gets moved, he just moves. He knows if there's a substitute happening, he's going to get moved about. He just goes and does it. He doesn't moan about it. He gets on with the game. It's his job, and he respects that. And I love the fact that that's what they do. Players will, like you've seen it, Hatate right back, and then Yang right back. People are shouting at the ground, why is Hatate moving it right back? I said, well, Hatate actually played in Japan for a period of time. He was right back at a period of time, and they're like, all right, was he? I'm like, come on, you must know that. If you're a Celtic man, you know your players, you know where they can play. And that's really annoyed me. But I think we're coming to the end of the term with him. And it'll be sad that if they go away and they don't have a trophy in their last season to show that the rewards and things, because I do believe they've been really good servants. The pay for them to the club have been outstanding, and I would be sad if we didn't win anything this season that the boys could take away with them.
I think a lot of fans are forgetting that we're literally around the corner from a World Cup, and fair enough, some of these players are being called up for their countries in this round of international fixtures, but if they don't perform for their country in this round of fixtures, they're going to be literally on the borderline, and they're going to have to perform at club level in these remaining games to get in there. Fair enough, Atate was not even considered for Japan because he's been poor form. Then you got Maeda as well. That's scored in World Cups for them. Scored in Asian Cups, but he's still obviously the manager's plans for Japan. But I think we'll get a little bit more out of Maeda. I don't think he's fully done with Celtic just yet until the end of the season.
No, definitely. So this is a wee bit of a quick segment here. So I fire the questions to you, or I fire stuff to you. You just give me back the rapid answer, if you can. One word to describe Celtic. One word, describe Celtic.
Passion.
What is the best chant you've ever heard at a Celtic game?
Best chant. We shall not be moved.
Favourite goal you've ever seen?
Favourite goal I ever seen? That's an interesting one. What, the technique of the goal or the stake of the goal?
Whatever you want. If you could use two, you could say the stake of the goal, or the magnitude, or the skill.
Live or on television?
Both. Doesn't really matter. As you saw it, as you've seen it.
Right.
That's why we're called Terrace TV, because you can be at the ground or you can watch it in the telly. Everybody's the same.
Jesus. I would say I was at a game Wanyama against Hearts outside of the box. It was an absolute cracker. So I'd say Wanyama against Hearts. That's faced live at the game, and then watch it will have to be Tony Watt against Barcelona. No doubt about it.
Two good goals, mate. Two good goals. If you could have a pint with any former or present Celtic player, who would it be?
A former player? Oh, you know what? I've seen him live at shows, and I think he's a good character. I'd probably say Stilian Petrov.
Petrov, aye. I met Petrov coming out of Ibrox the other week. So we did after the cup game.
He's such a good one, actually. He's so good stories.
Met him. He was with two other guys, I met Chick Charnley, who was quite controversial. Larson gave him the ball and he scored an absolute screamer in Larson's first game at Easter Road for Hibs. And I met Brian Graham, the boy that plays up front for Falkirk, used to play the Partick Thistle, player manager. Met him coming out and all. And I'm quite fortunate. I met Brian Graham in Vegas last year as well. So that's how I found out he was a big Celtic man. So it was actually quite good.
Brilliant.
I would like to have a pint with wee Bertie Auld. Because his stories are amazing. And I've been to a couple of nights and he was at Vegas a few times and I was at the convention and just listening to him and the stories. The best one ever is still going to be when he's walking out the tunnel and he says to John Gregg, says, John, what's your win bonus today? Went, we're on £6, wee man. He went, aye, but we're guaranteed 3. Now like that. So he's batted right back to him. But I would like to have spent a bit of time with Bertie Auld in his company.
It was his birthday yesterday as well. God rest his soul. What a guy. An absolute legend. He's probably the funniest character Celtic Football Club ever produced as well. And what a player. What a player to come back from Birmingham, to get back into the hoops and, bring so much success as well. And not just a Celtic legend, he's a Hibs legend as well. People forget about that.
Right. Partick Thistle still talking about him as well. People for Partick Thistle.
Yeah, the legend from Merley Hill, eh? Or if we're going to ask me about a current player who would like to have a drink with a current player, that squad, it'd probably be Alistair Johnson. I think he'd be a good laugh. I think he'd be some laugh to have a drink with.
I liked wee Greg Taylor when he was there. I know I thought he was passionate and he was probably one of the guys that would be a good time. Current Celtic player now, I like to sit down with maybe Callum and just no pick his brain, but just I want to say give him a pep talk. Doesn't he? A pep talk. He's the captain. He is going to be, but after the last couple of days, people are saying this and that about him. The last few games, he's coming back from injury, and why did he start? He's not even fit. That's because he's a captain. He wants to play, and the credit where the credit is due. And you need to, speaking to these guys. We live Celtic, right? We love it, but they actually live it day to day, week in, week out, year in, year out, and for the rest of their life, you've said there like Jackie McNamara and people like that, Chris Sutton, all these guys, Gary Hooper, have all been in the jersey, they've went away, but they still live the hoops, they still feel the passion, they still get what it's all about, and that's very hard to get into your life, I think. So for somebody like Callum, he's got to be under so much pressure at this moment in time, just to sit down and say, listen, we know you're, I do genuinely say this, I don't think players get there and give 70% or 60%. They're just knowing their game, and it's hard for them. I don't understand people say, "Oh, he's not even trying." Come on, there's no.
I believe Callum McGregor's trying. I just think he's not at the level he once was, and that's acceptable because he's the older he's getting. I do believe that he's under severe pressure more than he's ever been in a Celtic shirt, even worse than when Ange took over and he was in that title race from, say, what was it, January until March. I think this is 10 times worse because he knows that he doesn't want to be, like, people will be pointing the finger at him, especially with all this stuff going on behind the scenes with the board and the fans and stuff. Like him and Martin O'Neill are basically the spokespeople for Celtic Football Club right now because we're not getting that communication from the board. But I feel sorry for Callum. I really do. I think he's been a class act. I think he's been a phenomenal servant, a phenomenal person to look up, especially for the youth players coming through the way he's come through, him, James and Tierney and stuff. But I just feel like we're coming to our cross days. I don't think I just feel like you could see the pain when he started mentioning about humble pie and keeping calm the other night. I think a lot of fans were like, how can you keep calm? We just got beaten by a team like Dundee United. But look, it's been a twist and tails, as Martin O'Neill said it the other day. There's going to be lots of ups and downs to the end of this season.
I do agree with that as well, mate. There's going to be loads of tons and twists.
It's not the last. We're not into our second last game of the season. There's still 7 cup finals to play there. And
we've got Dundee this weekend, and then it's St Mirren in it, and then it's St Mirren in the cup. So we've got that to look forward to. We've got a semi-final to look forward to. Then we've got the split where the games come in, and then if we don't lose, any ground between now and the split, we're in a great position to go and do what we need to do. Simple as that.
Do you think this has been the worst Celtic team you've ever watched in your lifetime? Be honest, performance-wise.
Probably early period in the last 3-4 months. We've actually and I don't know how it's came about, because it's the same players that produced last season, and is the levels dropping, or is it just their confidence has been knocked? And we've got to have a big look at it and say they're bad. We can't hide the fact that they're bad, and they probably have been my worst team I've seen in a long time. Supporting Celtic, following Celtic, but the players have got to carry some blame, and so is the board, because the board have sort of regressed. When you're at the top, you need to keep adding and keep building, and we don't do that. What we do is we usually have a lull where we come back down and then we go again, and I think that's wrong personally, because when you're at the top, stay at the top, let people keep chasing you instead of dropping your guard a wee bit and dropping your levels.
Yeah.
And then having to plough it all back in to push it all back up. Keep year and year. And John Hartson said that when Celtic were in Seville, he didn't realise, or he didn't understand why Celtic wouldn't continue to add a player year and year between £7 and £10 million every year, one player, because what you're doing then is you're prolonging the performances. You're pushing a better player in year out, and the guys that are in the team are knowing that there's better players going to be coming in, or class players. So you need to keep your performance levels up, and I think that's what we've went backwards this season, where Brendan didn't get, and people say this as well, Brendan didn't get a backing to an extent, but Brendan didn't put himself in a favoured position with no renewing his contract, because if you're in a job and you want me to come and work for you, but you're telling me you're not staying after this season, or you've no renewed your contract, I'm not going to come in, because the next guy who comes in the door, Keith, might not like me, and he wants to put me back out the door. So I think that's where we'll shoulder. So we've got the manager needs to take a bit of blame, the board needs to take a bit of responsibility, and ultimately the players have been really bad this season. But the board then put in Martin O'Neill, who steadied the ship, brought us back to touching distance for Hearts, and then they let him go again and brought in Nancy. Now, no disrespect to the guy, he probably might be a really good manager at some point in his career if he gets the time, and if it was at the start of the season and he was brought in and had a pre-season, then he could have sorted his sell out and done what he done. But he came in and he had 3 massive games: a European game, a top table clash, and a league final, a League Cup final, and we didn't win any of them. So right away, people are like, I'll get rid of him. We're out of Europe because of him. We're probably going to fall out the league title race again, and then we've lost a cup. And I think it was very harsh on the guy, but I wanted him gone. I know I was shouting Nancy out the door and all that, because it had to happen. It had to happen if we've had any chance of turning that round. And again, Martin O'Neill came back in, the second call, and came in and has given that belief back to the players. The same players that we know have got that ability, they've got that technique, they've got the win desire. But for some reason, it's just not happening. You know what I mean? And I don't think we're at it. I don't think we're at it, but it's going to be very, very hard between now and the end of the season to get 7 cup finals in the league, because that's what you said. That's what every single one of them is a cup final, and we need to win every single one.
Exactly, and then the benefit is we're more likely after the split we're going to have 3 home games anyway. It looks like we're going to have 3 Rangers, Hearts, and probably Falkirk.
Yep.
I looking at the players, a part of me is not convinced that we've enough in the forward line to get over the line. If we can keep scraping Negrin goals, happy days. I just feel like Maeda is, as I said, even though I'm expecting something from Maeda, Big Tam is not the answer. Amadou is not the answer. And Nacho, he had 1 or 2 chances the other day. It's just, it's desperate to watch. It really is desperate to watch, because you're coming from a team that's been dominant with doubles and trebles, and some of them individuals have been there from that sunny day under Ange or Hamden when we beat Inverness. I feel like the players that have been there are checked out. They're mentally checked out. They're probably getting it in the ear from their families. Oh, we want to move somewhere else. We want to go. Oh, you could earn 3 times the amount of money. The agent in their ear, and then I don't feel like, as McGregor said McGregor said the other day in the media, the players are hurting. Of course, the players are hurting. if the fans are hurting, we need to stick by each other. We do need to stick by each other. And I know you go to every game, but it doesn't help when fans are dreading going to matches. They shouldn't be dreading going to matches. It should be a privilege. You should be the most luckiest person in the world to go see your football team play, because there's thousands of people around the world that would kill to see Celtic play, regardless of the form or not, just to be in that stadium. As I said, the way it sold it to me, I just think it's the younger generation is the problem now, Toby. It's if you don't win it, you don't win a double, it's a failure. And being around Celtic, supporting Celtic a long time, being through the 90s, not winning anything until up to 1995 against AG, you should be happy that in them 90s you had players that actually fought for the shirts. This team now have been such a dominant team. They should be learning from the past, saying, right, look, we have two teams chasing for that title alongside us. We have it in our hands to make history. We can beat these two teams at home. We can beat all the rest of these teams in the league, and we can make our count for ourselves. If we lose the league, I know it's at the moment the goal difference is not great compared to Hearts and Rangers. If we lost the league by 1 point this season, I can accept it for how poor we are. But if we lose it by 5 or 6 points, I won't be. I'll be like,
it's not acceptable.
It's I don't like blame game. I don't like blaming team. I don't like blaming the squad. I don't like blaming managers. But it's down to everything. It's down from the top to the bottom. And you know what? It's the fans need to buy into it. If you want to put all into this on this table and gamble, you gotta support your team and sing to the hills. Not sit there and sing for 5 minutes and think that they're gonna score a goal.
Totally agree with that, mate. 110% in agreement there, because you've got to, between now and the end of the season, it's coming for the stands. We've got to be that 12th man. We've got to be that 12th guy in the pitch, getting them through when times are hard or we're up against it, give them that wee bit of extra energy. And know what? See, when you can actually see it when the team knows that the fans are behind them, they give that extra 10%, 20%, they put in an extra tackle, they run that wee bit faster. Know what I mean? And they try that bit harder. And that's what it's going to take between now and end. It's going to be massive between now and end of the season. But I totally agree with what you said. If we lose that with a point, that's acceptable. But if we lose it with 5 or 6, it's not acceptable. And I don't think...
Not acceptable.
I don't think that we will lose it with 5 or 6. I think we will, as you're saying, twists and turns, mate. And just be looking at it. Let's go on this run and let's go and give ourselves the best chance we can. Get everybody behind them. Get the fans in. Get the fans behind them. Every game between now and the end of the season, 110% commitment off the field and on the field will make a massive difference to us. And if the song we always sing, you play for us, we'll sing for you. Let's get right behind them and finish this season on a high. And that's ultimately all we can do.
The thoughts of us finishing third breaks me. And actually breaks me. And I know the last time I think we finished third was 1994 or 1993. There's always that famous cliche, you don't want to finish second best in your city. You could be finishing second best in your city and finishing third in the league behind Hearts. And that's for that to happen. Like it's the fans. I think, as I said, it's a lot of us can accept disappointment because some of us are just not. Some fans haven't been built in yet to be disappointed. I know that sounds strange. The younger generation have not seen Celtic lose.
We've been spoiled. The last 20 years we've been spoiled. I mean, I've got nieces and nephews who have never seen, until the COVID season when Rangers won the league, they'd never seen Celtic no win anything. They couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And greeting and all that. And I'm like, listen, you need to get used to this because it's not always going to be the way it is. We're winning everything. And they're like, but why no? We're the better. I know that, but when we're the better team, but sometimes you're not going to be able to sustain that winning. And that's it. But
my concern is it's not about this. It's not about the league as much as we look forward to playing week in and week out. It's the summer. It's the summer that I'm worried about. It's how we're going to move. It's the direction we're going in pre-seasons, direction of recruitment, scouting, manager, analytics, all that kind of jazz. Directors
We've got to get it right. This close season is going to be massive. And the rumour I hear, the rumour I was hearing the day was it was Steve Clarke's being looked at. Personally, I don't think Steve Clarke's the type of guy it would suit our football. But if that's who the board's going and that's who they're bringing, you've got to go and back it, because
he'd be a free agent in the summer after the World Cup.
Yep, aye, and that's the way we seem to be going. We're looking to be, I'm not saying we do penny pinch, we've got money there, but we want to spend it wisely, and we need to be looking at. I do believe they knew that we should have maybe contacted the next manager, and we should have sat down with him and had a word with him.
Like the old days when Martin O'Neill was leaving, we had Gordon Strachan in the pipeline, like that kind of stuff. You need to, like, for a club that has like 70 odd million in the bank, and yes, we may not see that money being used next season because they're going to blame it on the losses of fair in the Champions League, even though they didn't prep for it. We should be having an interview process. Even someone from the club, Michael Nicholson, should be going down to London, meeting up with these people, having these chats, because if they're not actually taking it serious and they're waiting to the end of the season, it just shows that either one thing is going to happen here. They're going to give Sean Maloney the job. Nothing against Sean Maloney, because he was a great player for us. But I just think if you want, the way I would say this now, and this is a brave call, if we don't get this right this summer, it will damage us for the next 5 years. That's my
I believe that, mate. Believe that 3 to 5 seasons it could damage us big time, because everybody else will kick on and we'll be chasing them. I see what you're saying there about Sean Maloney, right, coming in. I don't really have an issue with Sean either, to the fact that he did play for Celtic. He's come in and he's done a great job with Martin at the moment. All right, we're falling a wee bit of the new, but he knows the club. Ultimately, whoever we bring in is going to need to have time to assess who he wants in, who's leaving, who's coming, who's staying. Plus, gives them time to look at players that are in the World Cup. Do we identify players out there? Because what happens if somebody has a really good... So you've identified somebody new, right? And this is what my point is. If your manager's coming in and he's identified 4 or 5 signings, do we get to speak to them new? You know what I mean? Do we go and speak to their clubs and say, listen, we're interested in Keith, we're interested in Toby, the new. Let's get a pre-contract in there, because see if they go to the World Cup and they play well, you're going to add 5, 10, 15 million onto them. And that's my big fear, that we identify a couple of players and have a good World Cup, and then they go for here in this bracket into that bracket, and they also go for Celtic to your Real Madrids or your Barcelonas or Liverpool, Man United, whoever, Chelsea's, all these teams down south have got hundreds and hundreds of money.
That's what happened with the Croatia keeper. He had a cracking World Cup for Croatia, Likovic, and then I know he ended up to Fenerbahce. Celtic are a bigger club than Fenerbahce, but they're not afraid to give them double salary, triple salary. And I'm quite worried about it, Toby. I honestly think, like, I just don't believe that we have the right people, right personnel at board level to shake it up, to believe that if they gave us a bit of a vision, if they came out and done a video on a statement saying, well, look, it hasn't been rosy for fans, for ourselves. We want it. This is the direction we're going. We're willing to spend 25 million, and then what we sell, we're going to try and put that back into the squad, and they're also built from that. It's concerning. Well, if we win this title, it will cover all the cracks, and I don't want it being covered all the cracks. I've heard fans saying, I've heard fans saying to me, right, maybe this sounds weird, but maybe it might be the best thing that we don't win the title, because maybe I'll wake up a lot of fans and realise how bad this has been for years.
I can't do that, mate.
On a board level.
I can't justify that, just losing it to maybe make us up. I can't. And I even heard somebody say the other day, Celtic fans say, maybe we should, like, if it came down to the last game of the season, we were playing Hearts and Hearts had to win to stop Rangers winning the league, maybe I went, no chance, not a hope in hell would I be throwing a game for to stop them winning a title across the way, just because it's your fault.
You might as well just take the trophy out of the cabinet and give it to them. Then you're going to act like that. That's just a sore loser. You stick with your team and you gamble. If we don't win this mathematically, or we lose it on the last day or the second last game, you could turn around and say, well, look, Martin O'Neill sailed the ship, considering the Brendan Rodgers walkout, considering the Nancy failure. He tried his very best. And you know what, considering the average Celtic team we got this far, we just get on with it.
Now we've got up a fight, and that's it. People, if somebody would have said to you at that period of time when Rodgers left, how far we were behind and Nancy came in, if somebody would have said, you'll finish the season and you'll only get pipped, you'll get pipped at the end of it, you're like, fair enough, at least we tried. And as you say, if it's 1 point or 2 points, well, fair enough, we'll take that. But we can't be going and letting other teams win it because we want to stop somebody else from winning it. Never in my life. And that goes back to the days that there's Dunfermline supposed to have did that and all this stuff. But for me, massive games coming up, I'll still be there. Even, as you say, it comes to the second last game in Malose, and that's us mathematically we can't win the league, and we've got a game still to go, and it's away at Motherwell, last game of the season. Am I still going? Of course I'm still going. It's my team. It's my last game of the season. Going to go and finish it. I'm going to go and support the boys through thick and thin, and that's what it's all about. You don't just you're not there because your team's winning. You're there because they're in there.
As I always say this on my podcast, and I put posts about it, and I say, you're quick enough to celebrate in Trongate and go on like you're the greatest supporter in the world, but when the chips are down, what makes you give you the privilege to be a winner? If you can't accept losing, you're not a right supporter. You're not a right supporter. Like, I remember going through lockdown and I was doing lives every night doing the podcast, and we got beaten by Ross County in the League Cup. I stuck by the team. I even though I was criticised, I still put my face out there and saying, did I watch the game? Was I upset? Of course I was upset, but I still support my team. I don't walk away. That's for another club in Glasgow that do the walking away. We don't walk away. If we lose this title, we've lost the title because we ain't good enough. But don't be bound into that propaganda of, oh, Rangers have a chance, Hearts have a chance. Yeah, they do have a chance, but we have it in our hands as well that we can still make a statement. But then proper players need to wake up and say, right, that's our hangover done now. We need to learn from Dundee. They have the international break. They can refresh the jets. Whoever's on international duty comes back, and they know that they're going to war. They're going to war, because if we lose to Dundee, I'm going to say right now, Toby, if we lose at Dens Park, I'll be chucking the towel in. As much as I hate saying I'm trying to stand there, I don't think if we don't get a reaction from this team at Dens Park or against St. Mirren, what does that even? Where's the evidence to say that we're going to have a chance of even trying to? I don't want fans turning around if we were to lose it at Dens Park and lose at home to St. Mirren. I don't want this mentality of, oh well, if we can't win it, let's stop Rangers from winning it. We should be looking at our own selves from the mistakes that we've caused.
We're made. That's it. Exactly, mate. Exactly.
Well, that aside, together.
Aye, I was going to say all that aside, we need to sort out our own internal issues first, and that's basically it, mate. Being a Celtic fan isn't just about trophies or results. It's bigger than that. It's about a family. It's about identity, a community, and the right to never forget that under the lights at Celtic Park, we can win. We can do anything. We believe, and we've got the faith, and that's what it's all about. For when I'm going way back to Willie Maley, all the way right up to the present day, Celtic have always been a team where they've always got through. They've always fought to the death, and that'll never change, and that'll never leave us. And that's what we want. And I always, no matter how good or how bad we are, my team will always put a smile on my face. Always put a smile on my face. I might come home for the game, getting beat. Like, for instance, I'll come home for the game and my missus will say, what was the score? I'll say 2-0. All right, good, 2 scored. I'll say Peter and Tam or whatever. She went, who are they?
Yeah.
So they play for other team. We get beat today. She went, oh, to get beat, aye. I'm no up, I'm no down. I'm inside them, I'm annoyed or I'm hurting. But out there, I'm not letting it get to me. I'm not letting it to eat at me, because I've had so many good times with Celtic, same as yourself, Keith, that you've got to ride with the blows sometime and take the bad stuff. Because
exactly
over the period of time, there's always going to be more good times. And never forget that, mate. There's always going to be more good times. And us, guys like us, who are doing these wee podcasts and putting it out there and enjoying it, the reason we do that is because we love the club. We don't come on to knock the club. We don't come on to bring them down. We come on to give them how we feel about it, our passion, our desire. And I sometimes will be hurtful with what we're saying, but deep down in our heart, we'll never ever turn our back on Celtic, mate. We'll never stop supporting Celtic. We'll never walk away. And you've made all the years of following this club, mate. You've made so many friends through football, and your emotions. There's no emotion in the world apart from maybe having a kid that I can relate to. How good it feels when Celtic get that win, or Celtic score that goal, or they're lifting that cup. The passion and the heart and the desire that comes out the stands onto the pitch and comes back to you for the players when everything's gone your way is amazing. But when it isn't, as you say, just remember that it's not going to last forever. What is the thing you say, Keith?
Form is temporary, liquidation is permanent.
That is it, my man. That is it, and that is it. That is it in a nutshell.
You know, look. You just have to take every game as it comes, and if Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney and Fozzie can get a reaction, if Callum McGregor can get a reaction out of these players, and at the end of the day, this is their CVs that they want to add to it. This is their cabinet. If they want to be a part of history, as we said about Gary Hooper earlier on, when you leave Celtic Football Club, there's only a handful of clubs in the world that you will get that love and affection from Celtic supporters. You know, but when you leave Celtic Football Club, it's the grass is always greener. You'll never be loved and idolised the way you are at Celtic.
Yep.
And it's
we'll never love another club or another organisation the way we do Celtic. And that is it. That is the be all and end all, mate. As you say, that these guys come and they go and they fall in love with the club, and it's wear them the rest of their life, and that is it for me, ultimately for me as well.
Look at Samaras always said, I'd rather count my medals than count my millions.
That's it.
That's what he said.
And know what? I hope come the end of the season we're counting another trophy, we're counting another medal, and we're not worried about the millions in the bank, mate.
Well, if we win the league, and just say we win the double, it would probably go down as one of the biggest title wins.
Comebacks. Yes, exactly.
Like no Celtic team has ever won the league with 8 defeats. We have lost with the most defeats we've lost. Most defeats we ever had in one season was the Love Street one, 6 in Love Street. There was one there. Was it 2007? We lost 7 games in 2007. But we still won the league. So maybe this could be a new part of history. You know, don't give up until it's completely done. But like the ship hasn't sank yet. It has hit the iceberg, but we could still save. Still might ride along.
That's it, mate. That's it. Keith, thanks very much for coming on, mate. Just before we finish, I want to get you out there, mate. Come on to Hoops Podcast. As it's on the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. As I said at the start, over 19,000 subscribers. You've got over 2,000 videos and 5.3 million views. Now, that's not just came like that, mate. That's through your hard graft, your determination, your passion, your desire. And when are you on? Tell the people when you're on.
I'm on about 3 times a week, so I'll be on tomorrow night. To have a chat. If Ireland beat Czech Republic on Thursday night, I will certainly be on, even though it's a Celtic channel. But look, you know, I'm hoping that Ireland do it in Prague, because I'll be honest with you, I haven't been this excited about a football game since my first ever Celtic game going to be honest. Good stuff. I just look at it's like in the Troy Parra moment is probably one of the best things I've ever seen in football. I know club football is spectacular, Tony Watt, but like seeing my country winning at the deaths and then still have a chance of qualifying. If they qualify, you know what? I'll be booking flights back to Ireland to watch the games. But the thoughts of it makes me excited, man. And I'll be we had that feeling obviously with Scotland there with the Denmark. I was out with the Scotland game.
Football. Yep. So that feeling, it was like a Celtic feeling, because it was high intensity and the passion and everybody was coming together. I gotta
get pelters for this. So I actually have a Scotland jersey. I've got a Scotland jersey. Usually let the missus wear it anyway, whatever. But we went out for the Scotland game, and I was like to Wars, like, you're not going to top Ireland's emotions. You're not going to top it. And then obviously Tierney came on. I remember there's Scotland fans around. I was the only Irish man in the pub wearing a Scotland jersey. And the only reason I wore it because my great granny was from Fife. That's the only reason. We're even wearing a Canada jersey or any other international jersey, I feel weird. But wearing the Scotland jersey, obviously it's good, but it's not. It doesn't beat obviously my roots of Ireland. But when Scotland's qualified, I was delighted. I was absolutely delighted for Scotland. 28 years of, you know, it's been difficult for Scotland fans. I know a lot of Celtic fans don't pay attention to the national team, because you just feel like a lot of them live in that tradition. Well, we won a European Cup in '67. Why did you not pick the Lisbon Lions team? They would have done damage, that way.
Yep.
And I can understand that. They understand the whole, what about the SFA? They've always been anti-Celtic and stuff like that. I can understand the frustration, but like it's a World Cup. Get behind your bleeding country,
Yes.
My country hasn't been in it since 2002. They've got a couple of Euros, and in my lifetime, that's how I got into football, because of Ireland qualifying for the World Cup.
Brilliant.
So
world football's a wee bit different. Your national side's a wee bit different. Some people can't get the passions no there. It's not quite the same, but it's still your country. I'm very, very fortunate, as I say. Scotland fan, been to quite a few Scotland games. Born in St Andrews Day. You know what I mean? Where do I want?
There you go.
That way. History, my ancestors, my name's Flanagan. I'm from Ireland as well. I've had a few of my aunties and uncles get on to me, why have you not got your passport for Ireland? And I'm like, I don't know. I love it. I love the fact that when Scotland only playing, Ireland is my next team in national football. And then a close third is anybody who's playing England. That's
of course, ABE.
Anybody but England, aye. So I do love it. I'll be the same as you. I'll be watching me. I'm vested in.
I'll be cheering the Welsh. I'll be cheering the Welsh on as well. I hope the Welsh get through as well for Bellamy.
Mate, I love the Welsh. I know, mate. Absolutely love it. Joe Ledley was an amazing player for us as well back in the day when he was up. Quite fortunate to be in Joe's company a couple of times at golf as well. And we've got so many players. We're a club now. We've got so much nationality playing music and all that. But Ireland for Celtic, it's for history, it's for heritage, and it's so close to a lot of people. And I know a lot of guys who just support Ireland rather than Scotland. You know what I mean? Because that's the way they've been brought up in that, and either Scottish. But at the end of the day, I've not got an issue with that. I love it. I love the fact that they're passionate about that country. That is their country. They've adopted it, and so you're adopted Scotland basically as well. You know what I mean?
Except in the rugby. Family. Except in the rugby. I'll tell you a story. I was before I go, I was flying home on flying back from Dublin when Ireland played Scotland in the Six Nations. I was over there visiting family. My little girl's confirmation was, and I was sitting beside a guy called Keith, same name as me, on the plane. And now I'm half cut and wearing my Ireland rugby jersey. There's all the Scots are on the plane. And chatting away to him, I goes, what has you over? He's like, I'm over for the rugby. I go to all the rugby games. I goes, that's fantastic. And then chatting away to him, and he goes to me, speaking of Bath, because I was talking about, I was in Bristol. Bristol's good there. He goes, my son plays for Bath, and he plays for Scotland. I goes, really? He was the kicker for Scotland. Russell.
Right. Aye.
Finn Russell. Finn Russell. So I thought I had Finn Russell's dad sitting beside me on the plane. Me working back the Jack Daniels. I was like, do you want to drink? He's like, nah, he's like, fine. I was like, brilliant. Look.
So you're on your senior guy, you might be on in. Aye, definitely. Good luck to Ireland as well coming Thursday, and hopefully we're both there. And that's what it's all about. But you say you might be on. I'll look forward to that if Ireland do qualify. I'll look to see you on there, ecstatic.
I'll be probably crying at 11 o'clock in the night. I'll be like, oh, the work tomorrow. I'm celebrating. This is National Troy Parry Day. Liam Scales as well holds a hand that with the 2 assists against Hungary and Portugal.
Yeah, we never stop believing, whether it be league or whether it be club or country. We still need to believe, mate. But Keith, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I've actually enjoyed it. It's good to hear other Celtic fans' opinions and obviously their history supporting Celtic and a wee journey. Until your next one, mate, I look forward to tuning in.
100%.
Come on, the Hoops Celtic podcast, mate. Absolutely love it.
Thank you very much for having me, Toby. Hello. Take care of yourself. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Leaf clover on my breast, and the green and white upon my chest. It's such a joy for us to see, as they play football, the Celtic